popular man.
Well, now that, of course, means that the lead Jaguar will pull away because the other Porsches were nothing like so close to it. This was the one that was biting the Jaguar's ankles. If Jaguars have ankles, I suppose they must do. And so it's pulling away now and building a nice big cushion. Because from a Jaguar point of view, it's the right Porsche that has overrun this fuel problem.
Now, I couldn't see whether they changed drivers there or not. Did you see that?
I'm sure they didn't.
I don't think they did.
They wouldn't be, because it would be possibly out of schedule.
Yeah, so Klaus Ludwig staying at the wheel. And now he's got a lot of ground to pick up, and that car is going to have to be driven with, should we say, one eye on the fuel gauge, certainly, but it's going to be absolutely flat out from here on in.
I think it's also got to be one eye on the laps. I think that he's got to make sure he comes in right. And I think because he came in so late, they've left the driver. Now, there's one of the Jaguar drivers getting ready to take over.
And that looks to me like Andy Wallace.
The first timer at Le Mans.
Yeah, first timer at Le Mans. It's only his second drive for the team, perhaps the least experienced of the British drivers.
And here's the car he's waiting for. Johnny Dumfries brings the number 2 leader in. Now, the Porsches are probably close enough to take the lead back while he's in the pits, I would think. Not that number 17 one, but the 18 Porsche, which with Van Schuppen, Australian, Van der Merwe, South African, and Bob Bolek, Frenchman. There's the leader.
And that, I think, is the battle for the lead all over again.
Yep.
Looks like it to me. That's Andy Wallace. And closing in on Andy Wallace now, the Porsche after its pit stop. And let's see whether Andy Wallace gives the Porsches as much trouble as the other two drivers in that same car did.
I think that's probably Cyril van der Merwe, the South African in the number 18 Porsche now in second place. He's really having a go at Wallace.
42 years old, Van der Merwe. Drives sports cars and drives them very well, and is driving this one back into the lead of the 1988 Le Mans 24 Hours.
Absolutely wheel-to-wheel down the straight. Yes, he has got him. For a minute I thought Wallace was going to hold him off, but he's now right in slipstream. He's going to come and do him back again.
It's almost like the first years of disc brakes, where the Jaguars at the end of the straight seem to have the advantage, don't they?
He's done it, look. He's got him back. On the same straight, on the one run. Yes, do you remember the Jaguars when they first had disc brakes? They used to glow in the night.
Yes.
Before they learned how to keep them cool.
Well, now, of course, they make them out of carbon material and things like that, so they equally glow now, in fact, you can see them.
But it's an example of how racing improves the automotive engineering product for the street.
Oh, yes, because it's played its huge part in Le Mans, as we'll no doubt have time to talk about, with virtually every part. But brakes, of course, very significant, and engine management systems and
fuel injection years ago.
Yeah, and of course, equally important, just the plain metallurgy.
Is this going on again?
Well,
the Porsche goes back in the lead again. This is supposed to be a 24-hour race.
Well, they can be very, very proud back home of Andy Wallace in his debut race at Le Mans here, fighting it out with Porsche in his first stint in the car and getting himself caught up a bit more with the back marker, I think, perhaps, than Van der Merwe did.
Yes, he was a little bit unlucky in the lapping there. Ooh, that doesn't look very nice. That looks like a car that's jumped the barrier and caught fire, number 30. That's one of the Cougars, isn't it?
Yes, that's the Courage Cougar, the Francois Amigo Belmondo car, and Yoshi Katayama, the Japanese driver.
And there's another one off there. That's number 37, which is
one of the Toyotas. Yeah, that's the British, at least one British driver in among them there.
Looks he's spinning his wheels in the dirt. He can't get it going. Yes, Tiff Liddell's one of the crew of that.
Yes, Tough Noodle, as he's known to one or two of his friends.
Very experienced in a very wide range of racing and also broadcasting, Tiff Liddell.
Yeah, he's in an awkward place there, because if he backs off, it's going to be worse, isn't it? It's back inside the Jaguar again. This is the John Watson Henri Pescarolo car.
And that is another Works Porsche stop. Can't see which one it is from the back here. It looks like an Andretti one to me. That's various members of the Andretti family swapping places. That's number 19.
It's an interesting idea, in fact, driving with your son and your nephew. I think I wouldn't have any sleep at all if I was worrying about driving with my son and my nephew.
Well, it's something he's very, very much wanted to achieve as a family win. He said to me some years ago, after he'd won the World Championship, won Indianapolis, he'd won all the American Championships, he'd won so much, and I said to him, Mario, is there anything left, anything you really want to do before you pack it? He said, yes, I want to win Le Mans with my son. Can he do it this time? He's not all that well placed at the moment, but there's a long time yet.
The big beauty of Le Mans is things like that fairground that we've just seen there, which everybody goes and visits. It's a special day out, Anthony, isn't it? It's something like no other motor race.
I think the fun fair and the frolic in the forest is part of it. A lot of people may not be tremendous racing enthusiasts, but this is a happening. If they are racing enthusiasts, very often it palls a bit, the race settles down. This time doesn't look like doing it, but very often it does. But going back to what you were saying, I think to win Le Mans is extremely important for a big manufacturer. Jaguar last year, 1987, they won the championship, but they didn't win here. And I think it's a tremendous challenge to them to win here again after 21 years. The commercial payoff for a team that wins Le Mans, the manufacturer's team, is tremendous, and I'm sure they want that. They got a great deal out of winning the championship, but I think Le Mans is a very, very special thing to win.
You can see now that night is falling, the lights are coming into their own slowly but surely on the far side of the circuit. Out here, you've just got the lights of the cars, then they come into this brightly lit pit area, flash through it just like a flash, and this of course goes on all night, and a lot of the spectators in fact are staying to watch this battle. But now some of them move away into Le Mans itself, to the hundreds of little catering sites around the circuit where you can get, in fact, some extremely good food, I should tell you. There is, of course, the normal hospitality now that goes on at large motor race meetings, with most of the teams and many of the trade sponsors having hospitality units here, serving hundreds and thousands of meals to people. And there's the fairground, as we've said. There's a church service even in the morning. The whole of Le Mans is geared, it's almost like a village that comes alive once every year for the 24 hours.
And you see there, they've changed the nose cone on the front of that number 17 Porsche. I wonder whether he's been off somewhere.
Well, we have just heard, in fact, that he did touch the back of another car, and that's the reason why. But you can see both lights are working where they weren't when he came into the pit, so that's the reason for that stop. It will have delayed him but little. And now we've got an infrared picture. This again is technology moving into the 20th century, the latter half. This is what they see through infrared sights. But this is an infrared picture of a car going around Le Mans. We can actually pick up the car, we can't pick up the number, but it's quite a contrast with the normal sort of night shots that we have at Le Mans. And here's one of those as we've got coming into the pits. One of the Jaguars, number one, the Martin Brundle-John Nielsen car.
It looks as though Nielsen is about to take over from Brundle.
So a change of driver for the number one Jaguar. This is the one driven by just two people. It's not leading the race, it's up there now. And of course, if the Jaguars get into a fighting and a strong fighting position, they will tend to drive this race as something of a team race.
It was the one that was really intended, I think, to win if all things were equal.
We're in the lead now, literally at midnight. Number 18 Porsche, that's the Bob Wallach, the Sarel van der Merwe, Vern Schuppen car in second place. Jaguar number 2, Andy Wallace, Jan Lammers, Johnny Dumfries in third place. Porsche number 17, who's come up from that delay that we saw, the Stuckbell Ludwig car, the one that went out of petrol. Then number 21 Jaguar, the first of the American cars, Sullivan, Jones and Price Cobb. Then number 1 Jaguar, that's the Brundle-Nielsen car, that was the other one that was delayed. Then number 19, the Andretti's Porsche, the Andretti family. And number 8 Porsche, the first of the non-works cars, one of the Yost Racing, the Blaupunkt Yost Racing cars. And then finally the next Jaguar, the number 22 Jaguar, the Silk Cut car. Sadly missing the number 3 car, the Pescarello, Bralbazel, John Watson car. That has stopped out on the circuit with what we are told is a transmission problem. But that's 1 Jaguar out, 4 Jaguars still in, still the 3 Porsches in. And one of the Jaguars in now, having more than I would say routine maintenance at this point.
Yes, that looks like a problem. It's difficult to see exactly what they're doing. Of course, it is most unusual at Le Mans for what we used to call the Le Mans 2-hour Grand Prix to go on so long. These cars are still racing mostly on the same lap, or give or take a pit stop or two, and they're locked in combat just like a Grand Prix, and as you say, the race is 9 hours old.